this was kind of a long afternoon in an unexpected way. My horse had this weird episode today it's new, but so many things with him are. When I got there, he was actually okay when I got there, and there was like maybe 10 minutes before I went to go pick him up, get him out of his stall, and by the time I got down to his stall, he was running around in his stall, kind of like, I would have thought at first that maybe a bug was chasing him. It was kind of that kind of like annoyed, mad, slightly frantic kind of thing, and he was like escalating instead of de-escalating, which normally he'd do, if he's gonna do something like that, he just kind of does it and then he gives it up. He was like, it was poor guy. He was definitely mad because he ran over and bit Iceman a couple times, and then he ran over and tried to bite Finn. He couldn't reach Finn. He was crabby, and then he kept kind of running up to me, not being as careful as I would like. But his energy is way different than when he gets in that bold place. It was more frantic than usual, and this wasn't like his usual kind of like scared frantic though. It was something different, and so I was like, all right, well, this is weird. So I really just thought that there was like a bug, and he just had allowed himself to get kind of lost in the bug, and he needed some time to calm down. So I tried to calm him down a little bit in his stall. I did have a little bit of success with that. It wasn't great, and so I was like, all right, well, I can lead him. He's leadable, so I'm going to lead him to the round pen and see what happens. And I played with some things in the round pen, and I could lead him in the round pen. I was like, all right, so it's not these things. He's clearly sound. He's not dragging one leg behind him. Anyway, I played with him a little bit. I left him alone for a second so I could go get his bow boots, and he was fine, and then I directed him around a little bit, and he was actually really good. In fact, he was very good about that, and he was not like, so a lot of the times, especially if he's feeling fractious, he'll get really argumentative and like not want to be with me, and this was the almost opposite. Like, he was like, please help me, calm down. It was very strange. So then I took him to the front arena, walked around a little bit, did a tiny little bit more groundwork out there, not too much, because he was already pretty sweaty, to be honest, by the time all this happened. He had run around enough, and he's got his winter coat, and it's 85 out today. So anyway, he ran around. Or no, he didn't run around. He was fine out there, and again, he was being really good. Like, I was actually super happy that he let me calm him down that much. Like, so I leave the arena, and I'm like, all right, this was kind of cool, because I don't love that he was running around in this weird way, but the flip side of that is that I got to calm him down, and I feel like I had this really good moment where it was like him trying to lean on me to calm him down, and that's new. Like, that's so new. He didn't have any of that animosity or resentment or anger, or lack of willingness. It was just like, hey, could you help me feel better? And there was a willingness there to try. So I'm like, still, none of this story makes sense. So, and then I decided, all right, well, I'm going to take him back to his stall, because I want to see if like he's still feeling bothered in his stall. And I took him back to his stall and let him loose. And he just stood there with me for a couple minutes, and like he was like calming down. He was letting down. Like it was kind of like he was a little bit zoned out. But I was like, well, I'm going to take that, because honestly, I think he needed a minute to catch his breath and all that. Let him get a drink of water. Then he was really funny. He went and pooped, which these are like things that he always does. He went and pooped, and he went and peed. And then I was like, all right, well, you're sweaty, like, so I need to go rinse you off. So I asked him to come back over to me. He happily came back over to me, and that's right. He happily came over to me, and I went and rinsed him off, and he was fine for the hosing. In fact, he was like yawning and like letting go of some stuff. I was pretty happy with that. I mean, he was being polite. Thing is that he was never not polite in any of this story. He was never not polite. which when he gets frantic, he is not always polite. Because when he's frantic, his thoughts are strong, and that brings out that tiger part of him. So then I decided, then while he was standing there drying, though, he started to get weird, and he kind of was looking at one side of his stomach, and I couldn't get him. He didn't want to stand straight, and he was just being weird and like uncomfortable. And I was finally like, I'm just gonna put this horse away before it gets stranger. And then on the walk back, he was still being kind of strange. Like, he kind of kept, I would ask him to stop, and he'd stop, and then it'd sit there for a minute, and then he kind of like pushed forward, which actually this is not something he normally does. So especially not so persistently. Like, normally I could clear that up in one moment. So I get him back in his stall. I just was like, and I could tell, like, he's starting to get worked up again. I'm like, this is so strange. Like, he just calmed down, and I can't think of a time ever where he has, until today, where he had calmed that much down and then came way back up without there being a cause, because there was no cause. That was the thing. Nothing had changed. So I put him back out, and he definitely wanted to go running around again. I was like, that's so weird, because 20 minutes ago we did this exact same thing, and you were like, oh, I'm gonna stand here and have a drink of water. So something changed, and it's not clear to me what. So finally he was just being so frantic, man. I called the vet, called Jess. I couldn't get a hold of her, and I was like, literally just, I had already decided I was gonna give him some Banamine. So walked up, walked back. He was running around when I came back. He let me catch him. He let me easily give him Banamine. I give him a pretty good amount of Banamine. And because I was just standing there with him, like, is he having muscle spasms? Because he would like his leg would twitch, his muscles would twitch, and then he would stomp his leg, and then he'd kind of feel like he had to run off. Like, and it wasn't like I want to run off. It was like, I got to get out of here. And so very strange, right? And so what I ended up doing, so I gave him some Banamine, and you could just watch, like, over the course of that, like, it kind of like melt away. And he, after he had that Banamine, like, within 20 minutes, he was starting to twitch less, and need to move less. And keep in mind, this whole time I was just standing there with him on the halter. I wasn't actually trying to calm him down, because I kind of wanted to see what the drugs were going to do. And just as that Banamine, the more it kicked in, the more he felt comfortable. And then I could kind of tell that he was probably not going to run around anymore, because he kind of wasn't doing that lurch off thing. And so I let him loose, and he had a drink of water, and then he walked down to the other end of his stall and wanted to eat, and then he was fine. So I don't know. I've never seen a horse run around because they were colicking, but now I'm wondering if he was colicking. Very strange. He pooped twice in an hour and a half, which is like a little bit strange too. But it's strange. It's October, and he's a weird horse, so you never know.